USC played their first official game as a member of the Big Ten, and they got a brutal welcome into the conference by Michigan, man. Michigan showed them what Big Ten football is all about. You got to be able to play big boy football. You got to be able to put those pads on, strap up that chin strap, and you got to be able to stop that ground game, man. And Michigan just absolutely bullied USC for 4 quarters. Their offensive line struggled to protect Michigan's outstanding defensive line. Anytime USC tried to run the football, it's like they were running into a brick wall. And they did have a couple of big runs in the second half that they were able to get off. But for the most part, it was tough sledding for this Trojans offense when it came to their run game. They also couldn't protect Miller Moss. They had to bench their starting left tackle at halftime because Josiah Stewart, number 0 on Michigan's defense, was out there looking like the second coming of Lawrence Taylor. This just was a brutal welcoming that Lincoln Riley and the Trojans got into what it means to be a team in the Big Ten Conference. You're playing grown man football when you go up against these Big Ten teams. You just can't be throwing all these RPOs, these screen passes, and think that that's going to cut it and win you a lot of games when you're playing teams like Michigan. If you want to be able to be a contender in this conference, you got to be able to play some smash mouth football. You got to be able to take a couple of these teams' lunch money. And USC right now, they're not where they need to be up front to be able to have a shot at winning the Big Ten this year. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to be a bad team, but I think me and a lot of you Trojans fans should agree that that game against Michigan definitely was a wake-up call. And yeah, you only lost that game by a field goal. The fact that Michigan was able to have a 2-minute drive to take the lead late in that game, only running the football, kind of shows you that USC has some ways to go before they're ready to actually be able to be a factor when it comes to winning this conference. They're going to be a 9-win team this year. They may be able to get the 10 wins some way, somehow, because I do believe in the and Lynn. But as far as them being able to win the Big Ten title, there's no chance. Because you got to play Penn State. You got to play Rutgers, who right now has the highest graded offensive line in college football, according to PFF. Like, Lincoln Riley still has to change a little bit of his identity. He's moving in the right direction because all throughout the offseason, him and that staff were putting an emphasis on defense, physicality, getting stronger, gaining weight. But his play calling hasn't adapted to the play of Big Ten football. USC is a team that a lot of their most talented players are all on the perimeter. Their offensive line has struggled for the last couple of years. And until they can actually have a team that's ready to play some big boy football, they can run the football in the middle of a defense like Michigan, you're going to have a hard time against teams like Penn State, Rutgers, and Nebraska, because all these teams are built off the physicality that you need to play in the Big Ten. And USC just doesn't have it. They are kind of developing it. But the play calling that we saw out of Lincoln Riley, USC doesn't look tough enough for the Big Ten yet to win this conference. You know, like, if you want to be able to win in this conference, you got to be able to run the football. And USC wasn't able to do that against Michigan. And Lincoln Riley's play calling was really conservative. It was all about trying to beat Michigan on the perimeter. They couldn't really get a lot of big plays in the passing game like what we saw against LSU because Miller Moss didn't have that much time to throw the football. Until USC can get better up front and build the kind of offensive line that you need to play offense at a high level in this thing, and to have a defensive line that can keep a school like Michigan from running for damn near 1,000,000 yards against you. It's one thing to know that a team is running the football, but it's another when you can't stop it and you know it's coming. That shows you that that team just believes that they're more physical than you, and they believe that you don't have the toughness necessary to stop them. Michigan pretty much bullied USC for the entirety of that game. And even though they got up, they got a little bit of momentum, Michigan was still able to go back to what works best, which is bully ball, and USC wasn't ready for it. What a brutal welcome that USC got into the Big Ten playing Michigan, man.